and why am I forgetting everyone's names today? It starts with M. I'm almost positive it starts with M. Zoe. It doesn't start with M. Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I'm going to be filming another book recommendations video. I haven't filmed one of these in a little while, so I thought it was time I do another one, and today we're going to be doing Friends to Lovers. The Friends to Lovers trope is one that I have a love-hate relationship with. If it's done well, it can be phenomenal and one of my favorite tropes of all time. But if it's done poorly, then it can be a little bit boring and not all that interesting to read because not a lot does happen. But today I'm going to be recommending you guys books with the Friends to Lovers trope that are actually really good, and I have so many more books, so if you guys want to see a part 2 I can definitely do that because I've been reading a lot of Friends to Lovers at the moment. I don't know why, it's just what I'm in the mood for. Yeah, without further ado, let's just get into this video. So the first book I'm going to be recommending you guys today is Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. Now I've literally spoken about this book in every single one of my most recent videos, and I have a whole dedicated reading vlog to this video, so if you want to go watch that and see my full thoughts and reactions to this, go do that. But this book is Friends to Lovers, Brilliant Archer. It's so good. I'm not going to talk too much about this book because you guys know I love it and it's amazing. And yeah, it does have the Friends to Lovers trope and it's done so well, and this book is so good. And then we have Maybe Someday by Colleen Hoover. Now I've also mentioned this book on my channel quite a bit in the last few videos, but this book is my favorite book by Colleen Hoover. It's so good. It has the Friends to Lovers trope, and it's amazing. So this is about Ridge and Sydney, and basically Sydney's boyfriend cheats on her, and so she lives with the girl that is actually cheating with her boyfriend. So she has nowhere to go, and Ridge has an apartment that he shares with a couple of other people, and they have a room free, so Sydney moves in there. Ridge and Sydney start writing music together, they get close, and they become really good friends, and they have an amazing connection and amazing chemistry together, but they can't be together because Ridge actually has a girlfriend, and Ridge is also deaf, so this has disability rep in it, which I love, and this book is just so good. So if you haven't read it, I definitely recommend, and it's one of the really good Friends to Lovers books. Next book that I'm going to be talking about today is People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry, also known as You and Me on Vacation. This is like the edition of the book that's sold in Australia and in the UK, I believe, and it's called something different. I have no idea why. But yeah, this is People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. This is Friends to Lovers, and this is about Alex and Poppy. Yes, Alex and Poppy, and basically they have been best friends since college. They met each other and they didn't really like each other, but then they ended up meeting again and going on this they were forced to ride home together or something, and then they decided that they were going to go on these vacations every summer together, and they became amazing friends, but they kind of always had feelings for each other in the back of their mind, and then something happens and you have no idea what it is, and basically this is told in dual timelines, so you basically get all the summers leading up to the thing that happened, and also the 2 summers ago. They haven't spoken in 2 summers because of this thing that happened, and you're like building up to that point and that caused them to not speak. But basically at the present time, Poppy is like, I miss my best friend, like I want him back, and so she plans this epic vacation that they're going to go on together to kind of rekindle that friendship and see if they can, you know, make a relationship work. And so you see that vacation and also all their previous vacations that they've been on, and this is a really good book. Alex is super sweet and I love him so much. Unfortunately you don't get Alex's point of view, which I would really love to see, but you only get Poppy's point of view in this. But yeah, this is a really good book and I definitely recommend you guys read it. The next book I'm going to be recommending is Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. This is one of my fave books in this video. It's so good. So basically this follows Macy and Elliot, and they have been best friends for years, but then 11 years ago they had a falling out and they haven't spoken since then. And so this book is also told in dual timelines, like people we meet on vacation, and basically in the past timeline you're watching them meet for the first time, become friends for the first time, and then fall in love for the first time, and then you are building up to that falling out that happened that caused them not to speak for 11 years, and then in the present timeline they're meeting again and rekindling that friendship and rekindling that love that they've always had for each other. And it's so good. Elliot is everything. I love him so much. He reads, which we love, and they spent so much time in their childhood like reading together in this closet turned into a library, which is so cute, talking about, you know, their favorite words and reading books together. And it's just such a beautiful story, and I love the love that they have for each other. It's so beautiful, and this book is just so good. I definitely recommend this one if you're looking for a really good friends to lovers trope. And this is childhood friends to lovers, which is my favorite, more specific friends to lovers trope. So the next book is Release by Ali Martinez, and this book follows Ramsey and Thea, and basically they meet when they're kids, and this is childhood friends to lovers. They meet when they're kids and they don't really like each other at first, but Ramsey is pretty persistent in being her friend, and so eventually they do become best friends and slowly they fall in love, and you see that all happen. And this is all leading up to the point in time where something went wrong. Ramsey actually ends up killing this guy who abused Thea and going to jail. And then you fast forward 12 years later, I believe it is, he's just getting out of jail. He basically said to Thea, forget about me, I don't love you anymore, I don't want us to be together, don't wait for me, I don't love you. And Thea was like, no, like I'm not accepting that, like that's ridiculous. And she kept writing to him, and then when he gets out, she goes with his sister to pick him up from jail, and he's like, I don't want to see her, I don't want anything to do with her, no. And so it's like them rekindling that love, and Thea being like, I know you still love me, like stop denying it, like I want to be with you. But Ramsey doesn't think he's good enough for her because of everything that's happened. And there's a big plot twist in this book as well, which I didn't see coming at all. And yeah, so you're seeing them fall in love when they were kids, and also them fall back in love when they're adults, and this one is just so good. And then you have Reclaim, which is the second book in the series, but it follows a different couple. It follows Ramsey's sister Nora, and this is her book, which is also friends to lovers, and it's childhood friends to lovers as well. And this is her book with Camden, I can never say his name, it's so hard to pronounce, I don't know why. But basically they meet when they're kids, and this is right person wrong time, and it's so frustrating, but in the best way, because they can't be together because it's not the right time yet, and they want to be together so bad, but they just like, it just doesn't work. And so they meet when they're kids at this little lake type of thing, like river, and they're both fishing for worms for bait for this guy who's paying them, and they're both in the same area, they're both working the same job. They hate each other for about like 10 seconds, and then they decide that they're going to work together, and they spend every day of this summer together building this friendship, collecting these worms and just talking, playing, doing all these things, and it's literally so cute. And then you fast forward like a couple years later, they meet again, and it just goes throughout the years of them, you know, meeting again and things happening between them, and then eventually it builds up to them finally being able to be together and then both being ready for that relationship. And this book is so good. It's just amazing. Camden, he is everything. He is an absolute sweetheart. He's such a little nerd, but I love him so much, and the way he is with Nora is everything. The way he treats her is perfect, and I just love him so much. Next book that I'm going to be recommending is The Hardest Fall by Ella Mays, and this book I read recently, and oh my goodness, it's so good. I'm obsessed. So this follows Dylan and... why am I forgetting everyone's names today? It starts with M. I'm almost positive it starts with M. Zoe. It doesn't start with M.
Guys, not me literally having a Garrett Graham moment from The Deal. If you guys have read The Deal, you know what I'm talking about. He thinks that Hannah's name starts with M. He's positive it starts with M. And then he goes up to her and he finds out her name's actually Hannah and it started with H and not M. And that's literally what just happened to me. I thought her name started with M. It did not. I'm Garrett Graham.
This book follows Dylan and Zoe, and basically they meet in the strangest way. So basically she gets dared to go up to this guy and make out with him, and she follows him into the bathroom, but she doesn't know it's the bathroom at this like house that they're having the party at. She goes in and she sees him while he's peeing, and she's like, oh my goodness, and he's like, hi, like this is kind of awkward. And anyway, they talk and she's like, yeah, my friends dared me to do this. And he's like, sorry, I actually have a girlfriend. And then he's like, oh, she's like, oh, that's kind of awkward. And then she like runs away, but Dylan is so intrigued by her. And then they meet again a year later, and she actually has a boyfriend this time. So, because he's like, let's try that kiss again. And she's like, no, I have a boyfriend. And then fast forward another year later, and he walks into her apartment because something happened at his house and he can't stay there anymore because it's a college sports romance. And so his coach is like, hey, I have this apartment, you can move in there. I use it to stay in sometimes, but you can live there, because he didn't think that anyone was living there. And so he walks in, Zoe is there only in her towel, and she's like, oh my god, what are you doing here? And he's like, hi, I'm moving in. And she's like, oh my god, what? And so it's false proximity, roommate trope as well, friends to lovers, so good. It's also slow burn. The tension between these two is crazy because Dylan's always been super attracted to her, been super intrigued by her. He spent the last like year looking for her, and yeah, she's super intrigued by him as well, but she doesn't want to admit it to herself. And so they go about building this friendship up, spending all this time together in their apartment, and then slowly falling for each other. And it's so good. I loved this one. It was just amazing, and you guys have to read it if you haven't already. If you're in the mood for a college sports romance, friends to lovers, slow burn, this is the one for you. It's so good. And Ella Mays writes really good slow burn. Like, it's not too slow, but it's not too fast. It's like the perfect amount. And I loved this book. It's so good. This book that I'm going to be recommending to you guys today is Dirty Letters by Vi Keelan and Penelope Ward. Now this one is childhood friends to lovers, and basically these two best friends, they write a bunch of letters together, but they've never met in person. And I don't remember if they like got set up through a pen pal program or like how they started writing letters to each other, but they did. And then all of a sudden the girl stops writing. Something really tragic happens to her. She's actually agoraphobic, which is a fear of leaving your house. And so she doesn't leave her house and she stays inside, and she stopped writing this guy, and then she really misses him, and she finds this letter that she hasn't opened yet that he sent, and it's a really angry, drunk written letter. And so she decides that she's gonna write back, and she starts writing back to him. They start kind of rekindling this pen pal relationship, but they decide that they actually want to meet. And so she has this therapist who's also her best friend, and he's like this really old guy. He's so funny, I love him. And they decide that they're gonna go on this road trip to this guy, and so that she can meet him and they can, you know, rekindle that friendship and rekindle that love that they've always had for each other. And so she goes, she faces her fears, and it's so good. And I love this book. It's very similar to Punk 57, like in the sense that they're pen pals who have never met. So if you like Punk 57, you'll probably love this one. And it's so good, so fast paced, just amazing. I love Vi Keelan and Penelope Ward's writing, and if you haven't read this one, you need to. And the last book that I'm going to be recommending to you guys today is Fighting Silence by Ali Martinez. I read this one recently as well, and this is the first book in a series, but it can be read as a standalone. So the series follows the three brothers, but yeah, I've only read two of them. I'm reading the third one at the moment. I'll talk about it in my September wrap up, but this book is so good. It's a like boxing romance. So he is a boxer, or like a boxer in training. He does like amateur fights and then he wants to go pro. And so basically this follows Till and Eliza, and Till and Eliza are childhood best friends. So basically they meet because he walks through the window to this abandoned apartment that that she spends all her time in, because her parents fight a lot and she doesn't really have a good home life, and so neither does Till. He has to look after his 2 younger brothers. His mum and dad suck, and so he crawls in through this window and meets Eliza, and Eliza's like, what the heck are you doing here? And he's like, hey, and then they keep coming back and meeting here, and they actually go to school together, but they don't talk at school. They only talk in this apartment, and they spend so much time together. They're slowly, you know, falling in love, and yeah, so things happen between them, and then they haven't spoken you fast forward like a year later, I think, a year or two, and they haven't spoken in all this time, and something really bad happens with Till, and so he actually goes to Eliza's new apartment and crawls through the window, and they meet again, and they're like, we can't keep doing this, because it's very back and forth with them. Like, they want to be together, but last time they tried, things didn't really work out, and so yeah, you go about that, them rekindling that love, and Eliza helps with all of his family stuff, like looking after his brothers and stuff like that, and then a lot of stuff goes on in this book. It's crazy, and you have all like the boxing stuff as well, and this book is just so good. And it also has disability rep, because Till is actually going deaf. When he was younger, he was told that he would eventually be completely deaf, because his hearing was only at like 70% or something, and then like over the years he would slowly lose his hearing until he couldn't hear at all. And yeah, so that's also in there as well, which I love, and all these books have disability rep in them, and it's amazing. So I love this whole series. So that is all the books that I'm going to be recommending to you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to give it a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.